Alrighty, Wednesday, January 27th. Let's see what we got going on this morning. Taking a look at the futures, down about 1%. Of course, things could change over the next handful of hours, but as of right now, this is just a much needed dip to the 21 EMA. So the funny thing about the market, or maybe not funny to some people, but what I find funny is that nobody bats an eye when the market just continues to rally day after day after day, but a lot of people do seem to kind of lose their shit when things pull back a little bit. But I think it's such an important concept as a trader to understand the concept of reversion to the mean, where typically all the market really does is push a good 2 to 3 ATRs away from the 21 and ultimately reverts right back to it. So unless this really turns into a bloodbath, this is kind of all this is this morning, and we haven't even made it down to the 21. So always put in these little red mornings into their proper perspective. And if we take a look at the Qs, and technology is way more extended than the SPY, we haven't even made it to the 8 EMA this morning. So as of right now, I don't think this flush is to do with anything. If you look at volatility, the VIX, we do have a daily squeeze here this morning. We've seen this game before. The market pulls back a little bit, VIX begins to spike, but every time, if and when VIX reverts back into the squeeze, what does the market tend to do? Continue on its merry way. So for yesterday's session on Tuesday, closed one position in BLNK, and I also added a position in Amazon. So here's the numbers so far closed for the month of January, heading into the last couple of days here. So for Amazon, love me the daily squeeze. Here's the 3-day squeeze, and I think this is starting to look super solid with some nice bullish momentum hitting the histogram. And then you got the weekly, which finally, for the first time in God knows how long, is seeing positive momentum on the histogram as well. So I love Amazon, and I love the idea over the next 30, 60 days, this weekly squeeze does fire to the upside. So I went on ahead here, opened a new trade, given it plenty of time till expiration, March 19th, and I sold the put credit spread all the way out there at 3,000, and then I bought the 29.80 as protection. So in plain English, pretty much placing a bet that over the next 50 days, Amazon doesn't do the opposite of what I think it's going to do and fire the squeeze to the downside. So in a nutshell, this is my whole approach to trading. I find a good weekly, daily, 3-day squeeze. If there's a combination of the three, awesome. But I'm looking for that good-looking squeeze in a nice bullish structure above the 21 with the stack moving averages. To me, that setup has a high probability of working in our favor. When we use the put credit spread and place a bet that pretty much it's not going to move and dump in the complete opposite direction, you're taking a high probability setup and you're hitting it with a high probability strategy. So in a nutshell, that's how I make a living as a trader. We find a good looking squeeze that we're confident based on the structure, based on the trend, can fire to the upside, and you sell the short strike in the complete opposite direction, placing your bet the squeeze won't fire to the downside instead. So I'm doing the same thing here with NVDA as I have been for a couple of weeks. Love the daily squeeze, love the 3-day, love the weekly. Selling put credit spreads under or near the weekly 21, hoping for this weekly squeeze to fire to the upside over the next 30 to 40 days. So I still like NVIDIA, which is down a little bit this morning with the overall market. Still loving PLTR here as well. So I do have 2 sets of put credit spreads. For PLTR here is it's firing this beautiful daily squeeze. So this morning, it does look like you might get an opportunity to add on a nice dip down to the daily 8 EMA. If you look at the hourly chart, we're pretty damn close. So I'm not sure if I'm going to add to the position, but I love the beautiful first move to the upside. Nice consolidation. Looking like this daily squeeze could potentially turn into, the second leg of a nice round of momentum here. So March expiration put credit spreads, sold the 23 put, and bought the 21 as protection, sold the 19, and then bought the 18. So I think that looks awesome. I did take profits yesterday on BLNK, sold the put credit spread on Monday, or was it Friday? What day is today? Sold the put credit spread on Monday, down at 35. Plenty of time till expiration with the March monthly, but we got such a big move yesterday, I was able to get rid of the spread for a good 50% of max profit, which was just about $4,000. So that was a nice quick trade, beautiful squeeze on a high open short interest name. It's a good combination. So that was that. And then pins here. Pins is a bit of a pain in the ass. So closed a good chunk of profits last week on the put credit spreads that I had remaining. I did jump into a new one there on Monday after we got the big bounce right back into the close. And taking a look at pins this morning, like everything else, that bit heading into the open. So with the short strike down at 65, and if you look at the structure of the 3-day squeeze here, that is our 21 EMA. So I am comfortable holding through a dip down to 65, down to the 3-day 21, assuming that does find some support. So I have February 19th expiration put credit spread, sold the 65 and bought the 64 as protection. So those are pretty much the swing trades I'm working with right now. We did, in the simpler options room, take an iron condor for AMD earnings last night. Pretty much placing a bet that we're going to get a less than expected move. I think the expected move is about $7. So we sold short strikes all the way up at 105 and then down here at 85. So all we need this morning to collect a nice chunk of the max profit is pretty much an open anywhere inside that range. And if we look at the futures, this is pretty much perfect. It's down a couple of bucks, nowhere near the expected move. So those puts and calls that have been getting pumped up as we've been approaching the earnings announcement, they're going to get crushed this morning. All that premium coming into our pocket. So that's what we're working with. For everybody in this simpler group, I will see y'all at 10:30. For everybody else, go on ahead and subscribe. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Peace out.